I'm so glad that the beer thing is less crazy than I can't remember what it was, but I hated
the monkey knife fight.
Monkey knife fight.
But
what
this is a
missed
different
opportunity.
One. See?
This is just a cool monkey drinking beer.
Before the show starts,
I wish it was this can.
I would like to shout out the
can
kind people who bought all-night tickets. You guys are fantastic.
Yeah.
Seriously. Coming out and supporting weird live comedy like this is incredible, and I didn't want it to go unnoticed. And I think we're good to start if you want to play that dang old little jingle. We'll get this going. Oh, blast it. Slow jam.
Slow jam the thing.
Slow jam the Digi.
Yeah.
Must love Digimon.
I cannot dance to this baller of a theme.
I can't dance
Oh
at
my
all.
God. Welcome to Must Love Digimon, everybody. How the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Folks at home, hi. We actually have people here tonight, not just Steven. This is a fantastic night. I'm so excited. We're going to get into some really fun episodes of Digimon Adventure. Now, before we dive in, I do want to address the fact that there are some people. Have you ever seen Digimon Adventure? Do we know what this is at all?
Specifically episodes 13
12 and 13.
12 and 13.
So I'm going to give you the most rudimentary rundown. I'm not going to get deep into it, just so you'll have some sense of what the hell's going on, but not too much, because I do want you to be a little in the weeds. So Digimon Adventure, this was a show that was, it's a Japanese anime, but we in America got it in 1999. And it's about this group of kids who get teleported basically from summer camp into the digital world.
They're dead.
Probably.
Probably dead. This
These
is a
are
Narnia.
These are fan
very
theories.
tinfoil
And
theories.
and then they go on an adventure. Basically, they are the Digi-destined, and it's their destiny to save the digital world, and in doing so, our world. And it's a very compelling, terrible show. But it's a huge part of my childhood, as it was for my co-host Emma Hamey and Cameron Betts.
Big old part of my life.
And my name is Corey Behringer, and we're gonna basically do a sort of beat-for-beat analysis of 2 episodes tonight.
It just dawned on me that this was such an enormous part of my childhood. Like I knew it was. No.
It can't be understated how big of a deal this show was to me.
And now, like, I hate it so much that I'm curious, like, what else in my childhood, like, if I not only I revisit what I not enjoy, but what I learned that I was like,
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say most things.
No, but not just like media, like just my childhood. Like I'm like, oh, I miss like summers at my grandma's house, and I go back and I'm like, oh yeah,
No, she smelled bad.
She smelled bad.
So
I did drown that dog in a river.
So you're not too thrown off.
That wasn't a dream. If I can go back and see it, is what I'm saying.
So the way the live show works, so you aren't thrown off a little too much in the middle, we record 2 episodes of the podcast in one live show. So at a certain point, I'm going to say good night, but please don't leave, because it's just going to be another episode. And so with that, let's get right into episode 12, Digi Baby Boom.
Yeah.
Yes, this is, without a doubt, the cutest episode they've done so far. 12 episodes in, it gets cute.
But it just starts with TK and Patamon sobbing.
Yeah.
And tomorrow is, I'm saying this very briefly, so tomorrow is my wife's birthday, and I was like, we started the episode, I watched the first, 90 seconds, and I was like, I need to send one text to verify. So I look at my phone for as long as it takes to find a phone number, text them a simple question, and look back up. We go from sobbing at a waterfall to the 2 of them in a field of eggs. And I asked Emma, what did I miss? And she said, they were crying, and then they went to an egg field. That was it.
That's all that happened.
That's all that happened.
Yeah. So what happened was they wandered because they started crying because they're separated from the rest of their crew. And TK is the littlest of the group. He's the little brother. So he's very scared because he's away from, the sense of safety.
Did they change Patamon's voice?
No.
It sounds so different.
I think you've just got to know it more. Patamon has I think I described it earlier tonight as
Haunting.
pitiful.
It's a
pitiful voice. You don't have any sympathy for this character because it sounds horrible.
Yeah.
Well, it is just the most annoying
Yeah.
character voice because he's always
It's
like
grating.
"Oh."
It's like this. It's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the sound of a
Yeah.
child dying, but just saying other stuff. Of just like we should go over there now,
Yeah.
but like deathly sobbing.
So to stop crying, they decide to keep trucking along. So they wander into the Digimon village. It's a village of the eggs. Is what it is.
It's a field
and,
of eggs.
It's a field of eggs, and when the eggs hatch, they immediately turn into a little bassinet, and they're little goopy baby Digimon. And this is where the Digimon get raised by Elecmon.
Yeah, I don't remember his
Yes,
name.
it's Elecmon.
Yeah. So it's a. Okay, we gotta back up a little bit. So, it's a field of eggs. Surrounded by giant
Blocks.
but
Yeah.
That are
as is
squishy.
established
They're squishy.
later, they're squishy. They're full of feathers.
Yeah.
They're giant, like children's blocks pillows that are the size of buildings that hold in a field of eggs, and the Digimon that nurtures and cares for and raises all of these Digimon is not a mother, like not a matriarchal type, not even like a multi-armed or like the ability to. No, it's a small. It's like a waist-high rabbit rat
Well, you
with
described it
electrical
well.
powers.
It might help a little. Is this at all a Pokemon crowd? Do we know Pokemon at all? Okay.
Okay.
Elecmon, Cameron described him well, looks like Raichu.
But wearing a feather skirt.
Yeah.
But again, it's an electrical
Yeah.
Digimon that shoots giant beams of lightning, which is somehow useful for, again, a field of eggs.
Yeah. Makes sense to me,
Yeah.
is all I'm saying. So Elecmon shows up because, they're doing, TK and Patamon are playing with the Digimon babies, and they're squishing little things and stuff, and then they start making them cry, and they don't know what they're doing.
And so they let them all, so
Really,
they all start crying.
I think it's. I want to say put a pin in that because I think this is classic hijinks of the sort of 3 men and a baby scenario
But-
of like we don't know what we're doing.
But remember that famous scene in 3 Men and a Baby with
Definitely.
100 babies, and they flipped all of the bassinets over and let 100
yeah.
babies walk
Yeah.
around?
3 men and 100 babies.
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
it. Yeah. So they're trying to make that work, and then Elecmon shows up. And shit gets real, doesn't it, Emma?
Yeah,
Shit
it
gets
does
real.
get real. What does he say though when he's running up? Because
Oh,
he
yes.
catches all the fish and he's like,
Do you
my
know what he
babies
says?
are crying. No, I didn't write
Okay.
that one down. I forgot.
I wrote it down where it counts.
Yeah.
He said, "Don't worry, I'm coming, babies." Just like that. That's his exact delivery. Because he cares, you guys. Elecmon cares.
But again, I'm coming, babies, and then he keeps dragging the fish.
No, he drops the
he
fish.
drops the
yeah,
fish.
he leaves
because
the
they're on the
fish.
bank by now. Those fish are food. They're gonna be food, so that's fine. He tails it.
He still but he still hightails it to the field, which is the speed of a 3-foot tall creature with normal sized legs running.
Just
He made it
It's
work though.
He made it work, but again,
Because he's impassioned.
The least equipped
to watch all
Digimon
those
to watch all
eggs,
the
Should
yeah.
also be mentioned. I don't think anybody asked him to do this job.
No.
He is self-appointed.
You think
There's
so?
no backstory
Okay.
given
If
that
you
I'm aware of.
imagine,
He just showed up.
He just showed up. He's like, "This is my job now."
Yes.
All these
imagine
babies
you
are
walked
mine.
into a maternity ward. Like you were in a, you're in a like just a normal. You think it's like a story, like I'm hungry, I should go, and you walk inside. It's not. It's just full of babies, and then your thought is, I live here now.
That was Elecmon. I am mom by default.
Yes.
Like, that's what he
So
decided.
he's just some like homeless Digimon that just like wanders
Yes.
in.
Okay, yeah. Imagine you walk into a building so you can beg them to use the bathroom, and instead you find a bunch of
A
babies, and you're
field
like,
of babies.
I'm their mother now.
Yes. This is sound logic. So he's very upset at TK and Patamon for messing with the babies. And so he immediately goes into the offensive and they start fighting. And that makes all the babies extra sad. They start really screaming now because there's violence.
Also,
Babies
they're
don't
on,
like
they're
violence.
on like even footing as they fight, and it has been established up until this point that Patamon
is very
Is
small.
the
very.
worst.
He's
Not even a good fighter. He just
he's-
does his bubble thing.
Boom,
that
bubble,
does nothing-
pop.
Yeah.
That's his special move.
can you
He
say it in
literally
his
blows a
voice?
bubble.
Can you give-
Boom,
Yeah.
I didn't know I had that impression until this very, very moment. I've never done Patamon before.
You've
now I
only
know
done
I do an
yeah,
excellent
so
Patamon.
now you gotta mean that and pepper breath.
And I got pepper breath.
yeah.
Yeah. So they start
I'm
fighting, and and
are on even footing.
yeah, and TK puts a stop to that pretty fast because he points out that the babies are all crying, and he's like, "Why are you guys doing this? We can't do this."
I have to say though, it's one of the better fights of the series thus far.
Because it has some
they've been
grit.
like, yeah,
has
and
some
they're
real
like
grit to
bouncing
it.
off the blocks
Yeah.
and shit. It was pretty tight.
They're
It was good.
being hurled into every which
Yeah.
way, and so TK stops him, and then it hard cuts to the solution that TK has, which involves him in a full ceremonial
Don't-
referee
Yeah, we don't know where he
costume.
got the clothes. There's never been
And-
humans there
And
before.
both Patamon and Alekmon have ends of a rope, and TK, throws the fan down, and then they start a tug of war because that'll settle their imaginary argument. And my favorite part, maybe of the entire episode, is in this moment, Alekmon has the adult sensibility
The moment of clarity.
of the moment of clarity when he says, "Why am I even doing this?"
As an inner monologue, though. That's what
I
it
don't
was.
know if it's hard to tell what's an inner and outer monologue in this show
their
because
their
the
mouths-
animation
yeah,
is so
they're
terrible. Because it could be assumed that he's talking, but his jaws aren't moving.
that moment resonated with me too. I almost was just like, "What am I?" I almost
am
got
I
up and
doing
walked
watching
out of the
this
building.
show?
What are,
I was just
what are
like-
we doing here right
I was like, I want to
now?
go home and kiss
Yeah.
my wife, and I want to go.
So
Oh,
and then
brag
for
about it.
some
Jeez.
wife brag. So then for some reason Patamon wins and he just hurls.
Yeah, which I don't
Alekmon
get
to
because
the
he's
other-
been the worst
It's
one
been
so
established
far.
that he is
Yeah.
weak. It
Mhm.
shouldn't have happened, but we just accept it as Digi logic. And
We can't set a precedent of saying "digi" before a
Sorry.
word and letting it explain something
it's
in
not
the
my
show.
fault. It's not my fault. It's Digimon's fault.
That's
It
how
is
they
the
do
Digi
it.
fault of Digimon.
Oh.
So
This is
after the dust settles from this massive
big-
brawl, Alekmon has calmed down, and he's come to his senses. He realizes that they just stumbled upon the village, and he kind of alludes that he thinks TK and Patamon want to live there and
Yeah.
also work there
There, yeah.
for
He's
free.
He's like, you're gonna be here taking care of the babies.
All
and
of
they're
this
like,
will be yours someday. And Patamon's like, nah.
Look, this
Very
look,
Lion
this
King
is a
moment.
this is a
Yeah.
harsh commentary on it. Look, again, like I'm not judging him for this, but he is clearly a homeless Digimon that is not of sound mind and body because he's beating my back. He is weak. He is not mentally all there. And he is projecting this weird, and they're all just like, "No, we're just gonna leave you with the babies. We gotta go. We have to go talk to the devil." That's
Yeah.
where they leaves to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the conclusion of this episode. Is they look at Infinity Mountain, which is at the center of this entire situation, and they're just like, well, we gotta go there to face the bad guy, basically, because they think that they'll get answers from him because he's a child. That's why he thinks
I'm
that.
still trying to figure out
Which is really the reasoning for almost, I'd say 99% of the decisions made on this
Yeah.
show are, oh, they're children. And that's, we just deal
I'm
with
trying
it.
to figure out who the actual like perspective of the show is because
Well, it's
this is
ever
a- this is a
changing.
te- well, yeah, but this
It
is
is
a
ever-changing.
terrifying moment in which TK. I honestly think that kid is aware. I think that as a child, that TK is like this monster who attacked us, who is not supposed to be raising these children, should not be here. But I have to leave to find the devil. But it's all white. It's all cheery and bright color. Like I think that somebody is like rewriting this history. Again, these children are dead. At the beginning, this is purgatory. I've made it
gosh.
very clear. But I think that I honestly think that the person writing the show is somebody trying to sell purgatory as good. That's what I think
It's
is
a
my final
viable
opinion.
option. Well, I'm not so sure about that, but I am sure that this was a very fun episode.
It was
really
cute.
was.
All the babies were cute.
And before we wrap up this episode, we got to make some time for Steven's Corner. You know what time it is now? It is Steven's Corner time now. This is the time that we let the one guy who always comes to our shows have a little piece of the show to say what he thinks about this episode.
We got to trim the
It's
fat on
Steven's
that. We got to trim
Corner.
the fat on that
Digimon.
song.
I was working on that all day.
All day?
All day. Steven's Corner. Let's hear it for Steven. Yeah.
Shout out to those at home.
Yeah, there's 5 people watching. I'm keeping
And those
up.
watching on demand.
Yeah.
So one thing you guys actually, some of the things you did miss in that 90 seconds. Wow. Well, hold on. Yeah. It's built up to it.
Why don't you go fuck yourself, Steven?
Easy. We have one fan.
We'll talk after the show. That Patamon hasn't digivolved yet. Yes, again, we hate the idea that it's used from that. So he's the only one that hasn't at this point. So TK's actually trying to figure out what would he evolve into. And there's this awkward kind of thing of like,
oh, yeah.
Oinkmon and other stuff there.
And he's all, I'm not a
Hogmon.
pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that actually, because to be overly nerdy, I've also watched the Japanese versions of this. And in the Japanese version, yeah, I'm committing to it. So other options are just, they're just guessing. Like the one thing is he evolves into Porkymon because he's kind of like a pig-nosed thing that has wings on his head. It's weird. It's very Lynchian. And then the sequel, then it evolves into a hippo even, where the idea is like it's a hippo that like snorts and in a meta fourth wall breaking sense, it actually snorts and like. Sometimes when they have Digimon there's like again, to emphasize Pokemon, there's sometimes like, oh, this is like a Wikipedia thing will pop up. Like, oh, hey, take a photo and here's what this looks like. Sometimes there's stats and there's other stuff there. And in a meta sense, this second Digivolution or option would like snort it up. Like Robert Evans smoked up cocaine. To drop that to our 80s listeners.
What? Who do you think made the devices that this read-up would be displayed on, if not somebody selling Purgatory?
Well, to tease for next episode, might be someone we see in the next episode.
There you go.
And
is it something we see? I don't remember. I haven't watched the episode.
We just watched them
or
40
future
minutes
episodes.
ago.
But so overall, these 2 parts, another way of describing it is it's kind of like this and the next episode are like Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Evolutions. So for those that remember that.
We are in the weeds now.
Yeah. Again, I'm padding for time.
No, it's
so in the first Matrix sequel, the Oracle has...
Wait a minute.
No. This is there. This is actually ties back in. So the... Yeah, see, this is what happens when you...
Why do you think you need to pad for time?
Steven just read this.
Yeah, but no. So there's if anything, the Elokmon Patamon fight is like Seraph fight, the Guardian of the Oracle, testing them out because the whole thing was a fight. It's like, are they worthy to be around this bevy of eggs? And so the tug of war was proving Patamon was capable of watching over these kids. Okay. So, trying a little deeper there.
I bet John Wick could kick Neo's ass.
Yeah.
But even
really?
like full Neo. John Wick, though.
Ooh, yeah.
They killed his dog.
I know.
God.
Well, to tie that up.
Spoiler to the first 5 minutes
Hold
of
on.
the...
we got a Robert question.
Steven's Corner.
Oh.
No. I'll cede time to Robert. Robert's been at more of these.
What you got?
You gotta holler. It's a podcast.
Just trying to figure this whole thing out.
So are we.
This sounds like a kid's version of Cube.
Oh.
Never saw Cube.
I don't know what that means.
This is not for kids.
So to try and translate further, Cube. Have you guys seen?
Why do you know what Cube is?
I'm aware of other media outside of Digimon. Okay, Cameron.
Oh, good.
Cube is. Have you guys seen the original Saw movie?
Yeah.
It was kind of like that in '97, much more indie.
Is this a cartoon?
No, live action. Yeah.
Low budget
Canadian.
Saw.
But yeah. So this week's question, going from that on a lighter sense, as somewhat absurdist as the Patamon Elokmon fight was, have any of you guys ever had a fight with the wife, the fiance, ex, friends, or stuff that over something, say, just innocuous, that you just like, at the end you realize this was a dumb fight, or you guys got really worked up on something and you realized, why were we fighting?
Yeah. I just meant that I do have one.
Go for
I don't want to
it.
get into it.
I don't.
Yours are better.
Well, I was just gonna say no because I have a perfect relationship.
Oh,
Next.
that's what I was gonna say too.
Yeah.
I once told a really good friend of mine. I gave a really good friend of mine bad advice while we were all drinking. We're all out. It was like a long night. It was the end of like a hard week. We're all hanging out, having some drinks, what have you. And it's like late at night, and my friend is just drunk, and his ex-girlfriend was on Facebook, and I was like, you should hit her up. And nobody else, and I gave him a long reason why he should hit her up, and then he did, and then like everyone else afterwards was like, why did you do it? And he's like, Cameron made a very cogent argument as to why I should, and I just dug in, and I was like, no, I stand by it. I think all of this is good. I think I only have great ideas. There's no problems with any of this. And then the next morning, Kara and I wake up, and like we're just chit-chatting in bed, and everybody else is like sleeping on air mattresses in the other room. And she just brings it up. She's like, I still think it was bad. Really bad advice. And I was just like, who cares? And she was like, but I meant that sincerely. I'm like, it is 9:30 in the morning. I do not care if Joe ruins his life right now. Like, I haven't even had coffee. And she was legitimately upset at that, as she should be. I am not right in this story. But she was upset, she was like very upset. Like, what do you mean? Like, you don't care about his feelings? I'm like, not right this second. No. Like, I honestly do not value him as a human being until I get out of bed. And that's when she learned a lot about me and the person she married.
Aww.
It's always good to find out
You guys
after
can-
the vows.
After, yeah.
Clapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that wraps up this
Yeah.
episode. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Pretend to clap for this end of the episode. Yes, yes. And play that song again, Jesse. Yeah. Oh, it doesn't matter. I'll drop it in post. Post.
Oh, there it goes. That's your cue for when to
Yeah.
drop it in. But we have to dance.
Huh? Yeah.
I think I have a stomach flu.
God damn it, Cameron.
And there's like a legitimate, at this point, conservatively, 75% chance I shit myself on stage. And I don't know. Here's the terrifying thing.
You can play it right over
Right.
the top of me. He's not going to stop, Jesse.
Here's the terrifying, like, I'm worried it'll be the most embarrassing moment of my life. Or, like, what if it's like just pure relief? Like, what if that's the thing where I'm like, nothing can harm me. I'm immune to all.
Oh, you're exporting it? Yeah. I thought you were just being considerate.
Yeah, I'm padding for time.
I thought you were like, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Oh, okay.
Sweet.
How you guys doing?
You guys confused yet?
Yeah, how unpleasant is this for you? Is this
On a
unpleasant?
scale to
I've heard some
Hand-
laughs.
hand up in the back.
Yes.
Before this.
Oh, like an hour before we got here.
Yeah, about an hour or so.
Emma's
Yeah.
like a wizard. You remember all of this somehow. Like,
Yeah.
So I have them come over to my house at 6:30, and as soon as they walk through the door, we sit down
plug it
and I
in.
hit play.
We do not.
And
We don't talk to each
in
other.
the-
Barely
in the-
look at each
In
other.
the interest of time, I skip the intro.
It breaks our heart every
You
time.
know where that gives you the.
we didn't have snacks this time.
we didn't have snacks.
Which
Normally I have
It's kind of a
snacks
bummer.
prepared for them. And so we watch 2 episodes real fast, and as soon as the second episode's done, we're in the car and we come here because we're busy people with
Yeah.
busy lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People love podcasts with food on them. People love hearing nom, 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 nom.
Yeah. I could see it. Should
This
we
would be great. Like, but you had that thing for. I mean, you still do. Like, I feel like the last. How old are you now? 27,
28.
28.
Ew.
Don't
That's right. Oh
remind
yeah, it was
me.
just your brain. But like, I honestly, I've known you. I remember the beginning of your Werther's phase,
Yeah.
and like, I could certainly say the last.
Werther's original.
Yeah, the last decade of your life. Like, if I were
You
really
said that
think
so
about
matter of
your
fact.
20s, I
We
would
got some
think of-
Werther's fans in the crowd. Werther's, right on.
If I have to think about your 20s, I'll probably think about Werther's before.
Oh, yeah.
Before like Jacqueline or the Kelps or like our living with you for a brief period, I'll be like, man, he was like really into Werther's when he was in his 20s.
Where'd you carry him?
Pocket.
Nice.
Oh man.
Just like grandma.
I always had them in my pocket, and we would keep them at the merch table at our shows and stuff.
Really?
It would just be the list of prices itemized of just like T-shirts this much, CDs this much, Werthers, please have them. Like I would
Where-
just give candy.
Where do you guys keep your Werthers?
Are you, yeah?
Yeah.
Must love Digimon.
Such good moves. You have such good dance
Welcome to
moves.
Must Love Digimon, everybody.
Yeah.
How the hell you doing? Oh man. I'm so happy to be here. We're gonna get right into episode 13,
Jumping
Legend
in.
of the Digi-Destined.
It's hot.
This is a big episode.
Yeah.
We say that about most episodes, but we don't mean it. We mean it with this episode. This is actually a big episode.
This is when we're getting
it
into
ends an arc.
Yes.
It ends our first arc of the series, in which we finally have the all-out brawl with it's kind of a brawl with Devimon.
It's a lazy brawl.
It's a bit of a
I'm
lazy
still
brawl.
gonna say the tug of war fight in the
It's
last
still better.
episode is better than
Yeah.
this fight.
So, refresh me if you guys remember. How did this episode kind of begin?
Emma.
Oh, yeah, I guess I should introduce the people who do the show with me. This is Emma Haney and Cameron
Hi.
Betts, and I'm Corey. And we're going to talk about Digimon. That's a thing we do once a month. That's what you're all here for.
I know
Oh.
it's too much of a gap. We need to do it every week.
I try
But
to
then
get
we'll
you guys
burn through
over
it.
so
We'll
we
burn
can.
through it.
Yeah, I would enjoy that. Let's get this done.
Can we please do Yu-Gi-Oh after this
Yeah.
instead of season 2?
Someone asked me if we were
Oh,
going to
really?
do that. Yeah.
Well, I'd like to do one-off specials. That's a thing I've been kicking around for
Can we
a
do the
while.
Pokemon movie where Ash dies? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'd like to do that.
Spoilers.
Well, I want to do like once we get through at least, or even before we get through season 1 of Digimon Adventure.
This
I want to
is
have.
season. This is the
We're
end
in.
of
Yes, season. No. This is
Oh
the first
no, the
arc.
season's like yeah.
The season is the
Is it a-
what they consider the
It's
entire.
26 episodes, right?
No,
No, it's like
it's I don't have the exact. Steven probably has a number.
He'll look it up.
But it's a lot, what they consider a season, because you got to remember it didn't air in America in the typical season thing. It aired in Japan first, so we got it all in one big dump. They dropped it all in 1 year.
A Digidump, if you
A
will.
Digidump.
a did you do?
And I will.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
Yes.
we were talking about one-offs. My favorite one-off idea that I have in mind, because I'd like to do some movies too that are related to this only in the essence of animation. I want to do Must Love Rockadoodle.
Rockadoodle.
That's
yes.
high priority on my list. I want to do Must Love Rockadoodle.
Have you seen that movie?
I've not seen Rocket
You've
Dude.
never
Oh.
seen it? Get
Oh.
the fuck out.
Oh, we're gonna
Here.
that'll be the first one-off I want to do. Like
Yeah.
after we do the Digimon movie, after the series is
Yeah,
wrapped
yeah.
up, we'll do the Digimon movie. Then
Don't
we'll do
you dare be
Rockadoodle.
excited about this, Steven. Steven was so excited about,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, we're going to do the movie, too.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, we're gonna do the
movie's
movie.
Good.
That's gonna be a big one for us, I
the
think.
soundtrack to the Digimon movie is like a very good soundtrack.
Some of it,
I have
No, it's pretty.
because some of it's real bad.
Some of it.
Much like the
it
songs
has
in the
Smash
series.
Mouth on it.
Oh,
I mean,
I didn't recall that.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
friends with Corey and Emma, and
Mm-hmm.
I love them very much. And I have a good normal life. I have like a job and like stuff. And this show is the worst part of my life. And I hate Digimon. And you are the closest thing to a villain I have in my
That's
life.
a very strong point.
Yeah.
You're doing.
Oh, I'm
It's
doing
very
it because like
intense.
you're the enthusiasm and the joy that you bring to this show breaks my heart every week.
I'll be your lightning rod of hate. Go.
Yes.
All right. How does
So-
it start?
Anyways,
Yes.
episode 13.
Let's
guys.
Yes,
let's get
let's
into
get
the
into
episode
the-
finally. So quick primer, I guess that we should kind of give. not for the series as a whole.
But it's the end of the arc. You have to like.
But I kind of want to give some sense of relief to our audience. We actually have an audience here tonight,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. Give it up.
Steven's clapping for you. I love that.
They all
the guy
like-
who isn't on the show is
You
clapping
did it
for an
last time.
audience.
Can you give a quick summary of where we're at?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I can't.
you
I
you are
can't.
literally incapable of doing it.
I cannot do
So
it.
basically, Devimon is the big bad guy right now. He is shaped like a demon. He's my favorite character design at this
He has
point.
the best
in the series.
tattoo.
tattoo.
He's got a
Tattoo,
sick
yeah.
tat. So he's got freakishly long arms.
Isn't it just one? The one that's all bandaged.
No, they're both
is all
incredibly
oh,
long,
really?
and they can get longer at
Oh
will.
yeah, they stretch.
And then he has a sick skull tattoo, as if he wasn't badass enough, being Devimon. So he wants to destroy the Digidestin because it is their destiny to save the digital world. And so
Destroy him.
he's got to nip this in the bud.
He
or so
looks
thinks.
like if the devil was a vampire and also Batman.
Yeah.
Just to give you a quick.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah, that's
actually
accurate.
very accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
He's got the cowl. So he is when we last saw Devimon, he split up the Digidestin because he split up the island that they were on. So they were all in different little pieces, and then they had all their little separate adventures. And now they've come back together, and now they're gonna take down Devimon
ready for
because
it.
they meet up with TK, who was walking up Infinity Mountain, and thankfully they come to his rescue because Patamon, like an idiot, starts fighting Devimon with his
Yeah.
bubbles. That's his best offense. Is
What?
the bubbles.
Oh, what is that? What is the thing?
Oh,
he
I'll tell
says
you what
again?
he says. Boom, bubble,
Bubble.
pop.
Oh my god, that's just for us.
You can tell I'm a professional because I moved the mic away
Yeah.
slightly as I did it.
Yeah,
so, I
so it
wouldn't-
doesn't blow.
Exactly, you know. So everyone shows up and they just start duking it out. They're all.
This
you know,
part was a
trying to
good fight.
Yeah, because they're
This was
all
good,
going
yeah.
at it. What camera?
I have a question. If
Yes.
I brought one, would you use like an ear? That would be so great for the show. I want to see you with both. I want
So
you.
he has his hands free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just TED Talk Digimon.
Yeah.
You should use
Digited.
I want to point out, not that I'm too self-deprecating here, the first laugh of this episode was referencing a TED Talk, and I think that's a little sad. Anyway, because it's not the Digimon content that they want or desire in any way.
Well,
Is there a Ted?
No
is
one who's
Ted a
in the
guy?
room.
Like, is there a
No,
Ted?
it stands for something or other.
Oh.
It's technology is the first one.
Don't look
I just
at
know
me
that
like
from
I
the
know.
TED radio hour.
Imagination.
Yeah, probably.
Digital.
There you go. I think D is digital. But yeah, so they're all fighting, and they're getting their asses whooped, frankly.
Yeah.
Because they're all trying their best. But then also Leomon and Ogremon show up.
Yeah.
These are
No, they show
a
up
back- oh,
first
well, yeah.
before Devimon.
Oh,
We
do they?
skipped. Yeah, we skipped. Like
Leomon's a hunk.
Oh,
so
well,
he's
no.
like a lion that got turned into a hunk. Like he's just
Yeah.
stacked.
Leomon, put it this way, is responsible for many furries.
Yeah.
That's true.
Many
That's
furries.
true. Out of all the like fanfic,
Oh, there's a
art,
lot
there's
of
a lot
Leomon.
of Leomon stuff.
Yeah, you'll have
With
a lot
all
of
really big
results.
feet.
Yeah, if you just Google Digimon feet, you will be busy for a while.
And then he gets pumped with a bunch of those black gears, and he gets bigger, and it's great.
And darker.
Yes,
his hair
Darker,
gets
and his
dark.
hair gets
Yeah.
and he has the what's king of the
Fist of the Beast King,
Fist
fist
of the Beast King.
Beast King.
which is a little on the nose.
Little on the nose.
Yeah.
So they're trying to handle the onslaught of Ogremon and Leomon, and they're not doing a really great job. And at what point does
When Joe-
Patamon?
Or
yeah.
No.
Well, they all show up. They've
No,
already
because
shown up.
basically they just fight and suck, and he's just slapping
Well,
them
no,
like
they
little
use
shits.
their digivices to get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Izzy had figured it out, and so they use their digivices, which they all have, and they've
like
wondered
beepers.
what they were for, even though they've accidentally destroyed some black gears with them. The
Many
kids aren't very
times.
smart,
No, they're not.
and so now they all use it, and they all target their digivices towards Leomon first because he's got all the black gears in him to make him enlarged, and they give him what I think is best described as an agonizing orgasm.
Yeah.
Just the voice actor who did it was just so
Because
committed.
he's got all these beams of
And
light.
his mouth just
Can you
coming
do
at him.
it?
Oh,
Can you
no,
do it?
'cause
Do
my
you
voice
have
is
the
just-
impression? But for like a minute straight, like an actual minute.
Yeah.
It's very,
It lasts.
very
remember
uncomfortable.
Ron Perlman as the Beast in like the 80s? Did you guys ever see? Do you know
Of
what I'm
course
talking
they
about?
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Welcome
Do you
to
actually
Must
know?
Love Beauty and the Beast, starring Ron Perlman.
Yeah, yeah.
Oof.
Design
Yeah.
by Rick Baker. Anyways, I
So,
was
yeah.
just imagine if Ron Perlman actually having sex with the costume still on and like just a slow mo of that. You got it.
They got it.
We're all in it together.
Oh my gosh.
So then, yeah, once they take care of Leomon and Ogremon,
You know what I mean. Take
that's.
care of.
Do you think
well,
his fan club is called the Pearl Scouts?
Ron Perlman?
Yeah.
It is now.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna start
That's
one.
fantastic. Oh man.
Keep going.
Whatever
keep
you were
going.
talking
Well, I'm
about.
thinking about their
Digimon
clubhouse
probably.
headquarters would be called the Pearly Gates.
God, I love Ron Perlman.
So that's when they all set their sights on Devimon, because at this point now everyone's digivolved.
He swooped down.
Yeah, he swooped
Yeah.
in them, and they all leap upon him, except Patamon, of course, who is useless. And they all start. Well, they dry hump him.
Yeah.
They were
That's what's
biting him,
happening.
yeah.
They're biting and they're
Which
dry
I'm like,
humping.
you guys all have these wicked moves, but
and
they're all just
their
biting.
best defense is launching onto him,
Yeah.
grabbing and biting and humping.
I think when you're dry humping,
Biting
it's
is
just
something.
called using teeth. Like it's not biting at that point.
yeah, you just use. Devimon's like, less teeth, please.
Less teeth.
Hey, I'm not complaining, but less teeth.
There's fanfic of that somewhere.
Oh,
there has
definitely.
to be.
There's so much disgusting fan fiction about this show, by
Oh
the
my
way.
God.
It exists and it's all bad.
We were supposed to start doing segments.
Well, I think
about-
that'll probably be a one-off because I think that deserves its own time to just.
an
to just-
hour. We're gonna
yeah.
do an hour.
I think we
of
should
just-
do an hour of filthy,
Oh,
filthy
buckle up.
Digimon fan fiction someday.
All right.
But that's when Patamon, I want to say he leaps into action and gets grabbed by.
yeah, he picks him up.
Yeah.
He
Because-
just grabs them and then once it starts glowing, he picks it up like what the shit.
Yeah,
and doesn't
yeah,
just,
yeah.
He doesn't just let go. It's a classic villain move where he grabs them. It starts glowing,
Yeah,
probably
doesn't let
burning
him
his hand. He's
go.
like fuck, and then he just picks it up. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah. And, TK's freaking out because he thinks he's going to die, because they all probably think they're going to die, as they should at every moment of this
Yeah.
show. And with tears welling in both his and Patamon's eyes, Patamon finds the strength and he digivolves into Angemon. Finally digivolves.
second hook
uh,
of the episode for sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
I like the design. Jacqueline, my beloved, was saying some very negative things about the design.
He's
of
like a
Angemon.
trim
basic.
hunk.
He's
So if
very
he is
basic.
kinda basic, but
compared to
I-
like all the other monsters.
Maybe it's
he's
because I
very
really
basic.
like religious iconography and stuff. I do. I find it fascinating when there's just like a religious element. Oh, side note here. I believe that Angemon is canonically, that's how you say it, Catholic, because this is from the Digimon Adventure game, which I own.
Bought it for my birthday this
Yeah.
year. He did.
When you have an Angemon in that game, when you let him rest, like before he goes to sleep, he crosses himself, and then he does a little spin and falls asleep. So Angemon is Catholic. I found that slightly interesting.
Did you?
And
What?
did you find it interesting? Well, you were raised Catholic. Give me some with that. Do something.
I got nothing.
Riff, boy, riff.
No, because honestly, I was sitting here in silence for like 30 seconds trying to connect it to when Austin Powers, because you mentioned it the other day when he does spectacles, testicles,
Wallet and watch.
Oh, did I mention that the other day?
Yeah, when you said "Oh Beehive."
Oh,
Wait, can you guys? I
Yeah,
gave away the punchline,
yeah.
but just fucking forget it for a second. Play ball. Hey, really quick, where does Austin Powers keep his honey?
in an beehive. So then the next
I respect
thing that happens
everybody
in,
in
the
this
show-
room more for not laughing at
Yeah,
that. Like,
yeah,
this is a
yeah,
good
yeah.
audience.
You texted me that joke, and I was filled.
Oh,
with
that was
joy.
a text?
I texted it in that.
Oh, God. That's worse. Because you missed all of that.
Exactly.
What you just
missed the
did.
delivery, which is really where
That's
the
what
where the
you need for
comedy
that joke.
lies.
Yes,
You know.
yes.
So Angemon,
Oh, we gained 2
In-
followers after
hell
that.
yeah,
Yeah, that was a good joke.
and we've earned them. We've earned them with that.
Now there's 4.
So Anjuman's more of a Dolph to Leon's Arnold, if you guys want to follow bodybuilders.
I think that tracks.
Yeah.
He's got a cool design. He's got like a big old shoulder pad. He's got a mask that has no eye holes.
Metal mask.
yeah.
That just stops right above his nose.
He reminded me of The Mandalorian. Has anyone been watching that?
Haven't.
Me
Yeah.
neither.
Haven't. Dorks.
You haven't seen it?
Does he have
No, I
6
There's
or
a
4
baby
wings?
Yoda in it.
I
Oh my
watched all
God.
the gifs today of the baby Yoda species.
Yes.
Yes, it's adorable.
Precious.
It's adorable.
I'm like,
I
what?
don't-
What do I need to have this baby? Like, what do
Yeah.
I have to do to get a baby like
Bad
that?
genes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That baby's 50 years old. Oh, you haven't seen
It's
it.
not
Never
a
mind.
baby. It's not a baby. It's just a 50-year-old at that point, right?
Have you seen what it looks like? Oh my gosh.
That baby's legal.
Keep talking though.
Well, anyway,
Keep
in a
talking about
nutshell,
Digimon.
it's
That
not
baby.
it's not
You
a
have so-
huge blowout
Yeah,
fight.
You had so many pictures on your phone of this, ready to
Adorable.
go.
It is very cute.
It's
I just-
very cute.
Yeah, thank you. This is
Yeah,
my
I love
son.
it. I
so.
do.
But she opened up her images or like her.
Oh, did
pictures.
you see everything?
No,
that
no,
was
no,
in
no.
there? Oh,
I'm sorry,
good, good,
I
good,
I
good.
promise you. But I saw that there's the top third of just other photos of life and the bottom third of other photos of life, and then clearly a 30% in the middle. That's
Oh yeah,
just
I was
photos
trying
of that.
to, cause I
baby.
posted it today. I was trying to find a good pic.
That makes sense.
But you saved them all.
Well, I'm gonna delete them. I'm not gonna delete any of them.
So it's not a very good fight that they have.
There you go. Thank
Real
you.
bad.
It's pretty
Lot of teeth, dry
anticlimactic
humping.
because Anjuman shoots his light basically and takes care of Devimon pretty fast, but not before Devimon
Just talks a bunch of shit.
talks a bunch of shit,
Yeah.
and he's
Bunch of
happy
shit.
as he
he
dissolves.
disintegrates,
He
yeah.
disintegrates, but he's saying there are more. Basically, like there are more villains on other continents.
Yeah.
And so the Digidestined know that their adventure is not over yet.
I-
Far from it. Far from it.
Can't wait for Edamon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I don't know what's more chilling though. If you know that there's like 20 more episodes of this season, knowing there's 20 more episodes.
There's also more than
yeah, but like let's just say there's 20 more episodes of these children fighting monsters, or just
Everyone
20
here's like, how much
real-time
longer for
episodes of
this
these children not
podcast?
being able to get home, like just
Well,
wandering the
there's
wilderness.
some twists and turns. So anyway, this episode ends with just a real quick cliffhanger because out of the ground, after they've had this huge fight, and everything, they're all coming down. They have the adrenaline pumping, and then out of the ground, this little machine pops out, and a hologram of a hunched over little man.
With a weird top knot.
He has
was
he does
like
have
an-
a little top knot.
Yeah.
But he opens with, and I'll quote,
Uh-huh.
ah,
Yes, that is his first line in the series.
first line.
Yeah, that. He's like, it's you kids. I've been hearing about you.
Oh,
He
we
said
forgot to
something
talk
like that.
about all the cool disses in
Oh,
this
they did have some
episode.
sick disses.
Like, what are you doing, booger breath?
Yeah,
That was a good
that's
one.
one thing that they yelled at Ogremon.
Yeah.
Over the smell of my stinky
Over,
armpits.
yeah, not over my. Well, yeah, I
is
forget
that
what
what-
it
You,
said.
you butchered
both
it.
fucked
You
it up.
butchered
We both
the
fucked it up.
sick burn that Ogremon had.
What is it?
Well,
Do you
'cause
remember it?
One of them, one of the good guys was saying like, "We're gonna get you," or
Yeah.
something more clever. And then Ogremon
Yeah.
said, "Over my stinky armpits."
Yeah, that's what it was.
Classic.
We were like, burn.
Classic burn.
This is so us.
God, it really
But anyway.
filled me with disgust when he said that. No, because you and Jacqueline looked at each other. with
Yeah, you
such-
did. When
Of,
we were
just, of
watching
the
it.
excitement of we're going to say this to each other naked all the
All
time.
the
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't think about that. Now I'm
Yeah.
gonna think about that all the time.
100% we are. So anyway, it wraps up with Jedi basically confirming to them of just like, there's more that you don't know.
Yeah.
And then credits. And it's just bloop, like, and so
hard,
now.
yeah, hard, like stepping away from that. Of just
Yeah.
like there's more you don't know. Like if they had cut him off.
Oh yeah,
mid-sentence,
no. They
it would've been,
actually the last line is Ty saying, "But please, old man, will you tell us who are you?" Boom, credits. It just.
Do
It
you
gives
think the
nothing.
director was just like, cut, we got it.
Yeah.
That's
They're
it.
just like,
We're gonna
this-
leave it there.
yeah,
We're gonna
this
come
is
back.
compelling. This is
Yeah.
compelling
It's
drama.
good. Yeah.
So with that, let's get into Steven's corner. Let's let Steven talk. Boom, boom.
That is way better.
That's
than
way
the
better. There we
last
go.
one. That was way better.
That's a
It's
way
way
better
shorter.
song.
You got to give him the mic.
So playing
Steven, everybody.
first playing some catch up. 54 episodes in this first season.
In the first, what?
There's like 3 separate like arcs
Yeah.
of them doing, or 4. There's 4. Buckle up. We have so much more.
That it was season 1. I thought they were so many seasons.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so.
We have like 5.
It's
more
like 4
months.
seasons in one season.
Or,
of
I
the
don't know. I
show.
can't do math. We have too many. 4 more
2,
months.
TED Talk actually stands for the 3 things the projects will have: technology, entertainment, and design.
Thank you.
So that was, for
What?
those following along at home. Also, tying back into Star Wars, in the English version, there are 2 Star Wars sounds that are in there. At one point, when one animal, or one of the Digimon is swiping in, it has a TIE Fighter sound. And
How do you get the rights to that?
They
They just
They
did
thought no
it.
one cared.
They just probably did it. They're like, no one will know. They'll thank us. Yeah.
And the other one, right before the last sort of culminating attack, there's a lightsaber sound. As the guy has a giant staff that gets bigger before he uses his hand of fate.
Both of you, what's your guy? Did you watch The Mandalorian yet?
No.
You're a fan of Star Wars?
That's not Steven's corner.
No, but are you a fan? Are you a fan of the Star Wars?
I'm fan adjacent.
Yeah, what's your hot take on the Greedo and Han now shooting at the same time thing?
That's what?
Yeah,
You mean from A
that's-
New Hope?
Yeah,
no,
in the new version.
It's not this. Wait, the new version when it's the
The
Disney
Disney
Plus
Plus
version of the
version.
movie. They
Oh.
Yeah.
but they shoot at the same.
I haven't
time
seen
there.
that.
Yeah.
It's devastating and really rewrites
Well, now
history.
I'm going to watch it. I don't care.
But to avoid padding for time this time, I'll just get to the main question. So we've gotten through 13 episodes. So if, say, tomorrow, these 13 episodes just popped up on Netflix as a 13-episode series, would you watch it?
That's a good question. Are we pretending that I hadn't seen it before? Is that?
Well, or do you think it could be successful if just tomorrow, maybe you just clean up some graphics and stuff, it's just a 13-episode season that just drops on Netflix or Crunchyroll or whatever anime thing tomorrow?
If they like re-release it or something.
I don't want to be overly cynical, but I don't think it would be a success.
I think if they retooled it a little bit.
They would have to retool it a
they'd
lot,
have to
and
fix a lot of the
and
writing.
they've proven
I'm just
that
getting
by
serious about
retooling
it.
they do have sustainability because they've retooled this show many times
Yeah.
over to change it to keep up with the times, and that's what I'm getting at is I think this show was a product of its time. It could only have happened in 1999.
That's true.
When we were riding the wave of the Pokemon craze, where just everything had to be, children endangering themselves with strange monsters. Like that's everything in this little period of time. So no, I don't think it could happen now.
Well, now I don't
any
either.
difference of I am very
I'm like, well,
compelling.
when I hear you say it, I'm like, my
I think it'd
childhood
be a
dies.
smash hit. I think it would take over, and I think that we would see a huge wave of like boys and their sisters dating. Because a Ty and his sister, that comes
Did
up
they
later.
date?
Yeah.
They don't date. The director of a
I
single
blocked something
episode
out.
of it. We'll get into that once we get to the
When we
episode.
get to
but
it.
there is some canon incest. And
Yeah,
it's-
I don't think it would hit.
Is
a lot of
incest
stuff,
ever
'cause
dating?
I've been watching Disney Plus. Like a lot of those old shows do not.
no,
No.
do
they
not
don't.
hold up well.
Oh my God, we watched Hercules the other night, and I
The
never.
movie?
Yeah, which holds up. Like,
That
so-
actually does.
Or
hold-
the
yeah, I
TV
saw it
show.
like
No,
last year.
The movie holds up, but we were we were all so confused because it feel like half of it is just it's all sort of like. But like hacky Jewish jokes, like it's a lot of
Oh,
like,
yeah.
and it like I
Oh,
never
yeah.
clicked, and I was like, what is like they don't lean on like the Roman or the Greek. It's all it was like, it's like Cat's Killian in a weird way, and
Yeah.
I was like, what's happening? It made no sense. Do you
What's
know?
happening?
Do you know what happened? Do you know?
I'm a fan.
I love it, but it was very strange.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our show. Thank you guys so much for coming out
like, oh my
and
God, let's get up
sticking
and get
around
out
for
of
our
here.
weird little show. It really does
Yeah.
mean a lot to us. We do this show, every month, and
Every
we hope
third
to see you. I don't know,
Saturday.
I guess
every
for the
third
rest
Saturday,
of our lives, like, I don't even
probably.
know anymore.
Yes, 54
Have a wonderful night and enjoy the next show.
episodes.
Bye bye.